Hallo, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdeed, ji ayanu, goedemorgen.
Bakhair agale, di hao, chura shubme, washmale, ohio gozaimus, guten morgen, hola, boyor, privyet, kaifahal, hala shuma chutore, ahlan wa salam, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabiab, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning alongside the very fantastic, the very amazing, the very superb, the very matching Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you for asking. Jumma Mubarak, how are you doing?
I think I'm doing perfectly fine as well. I'm just a little excited because, right after the show, I actually have to travel to Lahore.
Oh.
And I'm actually doing a project which I'm very
Mashallah.
excited about. In fact, I think what we can do is that we can pretty much discuss about it as well.
Okay.
So, 5 years ago, and it just popped up on my memory as well, and I thought that I'll work on it. So 5 years ago, I was traveling and I was in the UK. I went to a friend's place and he's got a studio over there. Akash
Okay.
Sam, Geelia was one of his hits, which he gave while he was in Pakistan as well. And so I had a few lyrics written with me, and then, I was just humming over a beat. And then he said, hey, you know what, we should actually record it. So yesterday, or in fact 3-4 days ago, I was just listening to that song after 5 years. And I was like, you know what, this song actually has the capacity that, we should actually make a music video out of it. And so this is what we are doing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm
Oh,
actually traveling to Lahore
interesting.
to make sure that I work on my music video. It's a venture which I have never ever indulged into, but I want each and every one of you to actually pray for me.
We
and for
will
our entire
definitely
team.
do so, and thank you so much for sharing with us. This is so exciting, and inshallah, when you're done, of course, we will share your product with
Yeah,
everyone watching here as well. So, Shahzad, today, this morning, actually, I came across, I read something so interesting, and it was so heartwarming. I've been feeling good ever since then.
What?
And well, I don't know the exact words, but it was along the lines that when someone is in help and they, sort of ask you for help, look forward to you or, require your hand for the help, then you should never say no, because Allah chose you to answer their prayers.
Exactly.
And that's just so beautiful. I mean, of course, there are so many times when probably, even we are not doing well financially or, well, even mentally. So we choose, or we start to think, should we help them? Should we not? Because we need it more than anyone else. But that is, the chance Allah gave you to help someone. I mean, imagine you are the medium, Allah is answering someone's prayers. This is just beautiful.
Exactly, and not just that, Shiza, I'll actually add to it as well that, for everybody, I think that this is a wonderful message for all the Muslims who are out there, all across the globe, and that is that, that sadaqah will actually never lead you towards you not having money. Sadaqah will actually multiply your assets as well. So as much as you can give it, I think it's important. And not just that, I think, Shiza, that you've raised a very valid point. What people really need to understand is that we need to observe, people who are around us, that whether they need something from us, whether they need help, or whether they need some financial support as well. Why do we actually have to make sure that that the other person will come down to a point that he or she actually has to call you or probably have a conversation with you and tell you that my financial status is now very bright these days, and can you please help me a little? I think that rather what we need to do is, or what our Islam teaches us, is that we really need to realize whether somebody's in help, and without them asking, we actually need to be there for them and help them as well in the first place.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. So, well, anything special planned for the weekend? You
Yes.
already mentioned you're going to Lahore, but in terms of work, I'm asking that because I'll tell you what, I know that you happen to do a sports show for another channel for PTV as well, mashallah, and that's not off because of Corona. So how are you going to handle that?
Oh yes, so it's wonderful. I think that Shiza, I am actually enjoying that work as well, and I wish that one day we could actually do it on PTV World as well.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a blessing, and it's because of the fact that imagine that you actually have to be at home.
Right.
You just have to log into your Zoom. And that's it, that's how we are recording, and the feedback has been wonderful so far as well.
Yes, it's been great,
and just being on your own sofa at your place and doing a show just feels very different. And but thank you very much to Dr. Namanias out there as well, who's actually given me this opportunity. But very quickly, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on towards the topic as well, what we need to do is that since it's getting very hot outside, and this is something which I realized yesterday because my room's upstairs and the air conditioner was on. Like when I entered the room, it was on, and till 7 or 8 in the evening, it was on.
Okay.
And I was still sweating, and I was thinking that what about people who are actually outside? So please make sure that first of all you keep water for birds. And if there are people who are working at your place, please make sure that you regularly keep on giving them water as well. If you have guards, if you have domestic help, or anybody, make sure that they actually have good amount of water, they keep themselves hydrated.
Right, absolutely. Just to add to that as well, we used to do this in Multan because I don't know, my dad introduced us to the idea because it's like so super hot and everyone's on the road working as well. So he used to keep, whenever he left home, he used to keep like dozens of extra water bottles in his car, and whoever he saw, he used to just give it to them, people on the streets or whatever. So these are just some ideas that Shahzad and I like to share with you so that maybe you can learn and inspire others as well. So today we are talking about something a little different than what we usually do, but this is going to be so helpful for a lot of people because we know that our show is not only watched in Pakistan or Islamabad, it's actually watched in more than 40 countries, and in all those countries we do have Pakistanis living too, right?
Exactly. Thank you very much for initiating on such a point as well, because ladies and gentlemen, we receive billions and billions of dollars in terms of remittances as well. And for all of those people who have left Pakistan and who were working abroad in a way has actually always contributed towards Pakistan. Not just that, to have an affiliation back home, what they do is that they want their siblings or they want somebody whom they trust to actually buy pieces of land or property or invest somewhere else.
Right.
But eventually over the years what we have seen is that that the people that they have relied on, I'm not saying, it's a very generic statement, I'm not saying that everybody is doing it or I'm accusing anyone. I'm not accusing, but this is just a normal phenomena which we have observed within our own community, that people, they keep on sending money to their loved ones over here back in Pakistan, and that too having in their head that that they will actually have a connection with their mother country. But what unfortunately happens is that there are a lot of people who are very hungry, who are not good people, and what they do is that they take advantage of that particular person not visiting Pakistan quite a lot, and what they do is that they invest money where they want to do it, first of all. Second, if they get, or if they're going to buy a piece of land, eventually after 20 years or 25 years, they will be like to that person, hey, well, there's no land over here for you, so you should probably stick back to whichever country you are in.
That's so
and
sad.
Not just that, I think one of the most common and the most problematic issue over here is that people who have actually traveled abroad and Allah gave them daughters, what they do is that they want to have a connection back home. First of all, I don't think that it's very righteous of them to get their daughters or sons married back in Pakistan as well, because there's no compatibility amongst the two as well. And so what eventually happens is that that the divorce rate is quite higher in such cases as well. So there are a lot of issues, there are a lot of disputes. Not just that, I think this particular government, PTI, has actually worked quite a lot to make sure that the complaints of the overseas Pakistanis will be resolved in no time. And for that, they've taken an initiative of overseas Pakistanis commissions alongside with the Punjab board as well. But what they do is, so they have received a total number of 7,300 complaints so far, and they have resolved 3,500 complaints, which is a big achievement. And I think that this is something which overseas Pakistanis were looking at as well. And even when the PTI was on to the election campaign, this was one of the agendas which they highlighted quite well. And I think that they have achieved it as well. So this is something which we'll be talking about today, ladies and gentlemen. And it is of imperative importance. If I'm saying imperative, I'm saying importance as well. And it's because of the fact that for all of those people who've served in another country for more than 30 years or 40 years and sending back money, which was the saving for their, the retired life. Eventually, when they get to know that there is nothing left, I don't know what the kind of feeling they might go through. So this is what we're discussing today.
Yes, absolutely.
And I just don't get it, man. I've seen brothers and sisters not seeing each other because of the fact that they had a dispute over a piece of land. How can that happen? But it still is the harsh reality of the society today. But let's see what are the solutions they can opt for, because today we actually have legal help over here in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, he's an advocate, he's a legal expert as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he's none other than Mr. Advocate Shahzad Alvi. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Good morning. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry that our introduction was very long, but let's get started. So first of all, we would like to highlight all of those issues which overseas Pakistanis do come across in terms of land grabbing, capturing, mafia, and then obviously, these divorce issues as well amongst the families. Let's get started.
Well, the overseas Pakistani, they have multiple issues, but there are two major issues which you explained before when I started. That number one is that their property matters, and the second is their family disputes here in Pakistan. So first of all, I'll explain the property matters.
Yes, please.
maximum of the Pakistanis, those who left Pakistan and they went over there for a good opportunity to earn better money as compared to Pakistan.
Exactly.
But the love of the motherland, that is still there. And they always try to have connection with the Pakistan, and they started sending money. And especially, we, the Eastern people, we are very much family-oriented people. We work there, but still we think love and affection with the family back in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So a normal Pakistani, he always tried to be careful as a caring son, as a caring husband, and caring brother. And they send the money, the gifts, and then when they save something, the first thought that comes normally in an overseas Pakistani, that I must have a good house, good piece of land over there, because when I'll complete my job here, when I'll come back to Pakistan, I must have a proper living, a good living, and that will be my life saving.
Exactly.
Right.
But unfortunately, the things which happens and which I come across with the different people, that they send the money back to Pakistan. Over here, there is a big property mafia in every city in Pakistan. They think that this is a kind of, to grab money from them, that he is outside, he doesn't know the circumstances here, how to handle the matters here. They involve him in the different conflicts, and they say that you invest here, this is a good place, this is a good place. But unfortunately, as a lawyer, which I've come across that many times, when that person comes back to Pakistan and he see that he purchased the land, and that land is not actually that one, or what the land he has purchased, some Qabza group, any of the mafia land grabbers, they come and they
take over.
They take over the possession.
Right.
Unfortunately, the legal system of Pakistan, it's very slow. And when he tried to knock the door of the judicial system.
Right.
Previously, it was very slow, but currently nowadays, especially due to the new legislation by the government, and especially the latest judgments of the Supreme Court, now it has become very speedy. Comparatively, it's better than the previous one.
So I think I'll stop you over here, and it's because of the fact, since you have mentioned about the previous methods and how we were going about if, God forbid, overseas Pakistanis were in such a problem.
Okay.
So, by the Supreme Court, there were these model courts initiative as well, which is no more existent. But was it a better system, or do you think that now is?
Yes, it's a good question. The model courts that were formed by the previous Chief Justice, Honorable Justice Asif Saeed Khosa, and that was the very good step, because there was a direction by the Supreme Court to their subordinate courts that if there is a case related to any overseas Pakistani, that must be resolved in 3 to 4 months, and which I saw that I was in a counsel in different cases, and that was a very speedy remedy for the overseas Pakistani, especially related to the land disputes, because here in Pakistan, a big dispute which I see, that the siblings, unfortunately, they are involved in such kind of these frauds. Because, for example, a person dies here in Pakistan and his son is abroad, or his sister or his daughter is abroad. Here, the Pakistani relatives, they put the fake legal heirship, and they exclude them, that they are no more the brother and sister, and they grab the land. And this is, unfortunately, this is happening in Pakistan.
How unfortunate. So sorry to cut you, Shahzad, as well. But, we do definitely want to get to all of these points. We will get to, how siblings fraud each other and whatnot. But since you're the legal expert, and initially we talked about how people, the Qabza mafia, how we were talking about. So you tell me what happens. So if I was an overseas Pakistani and I did send someone money, I hired a realtor, he told me that this is the plot you should buy, and I paid for it. And when I came back, it was the wrong plot. Who should I hold responsible for it? Or, I don't have any proof, so what can I do?
No. Whenever you send the money, first of all, which I'll advise to the overseas Pakistani, that they must have the proper record of the sending money.
Okay.
They should not adopt the illegal hundi and hawala. They should send them through proper banking channel, because that will be the valid evidence for the investment. The second thing is that wherever you get the plot or the land, if we find that any kind of a Qabza group is here, Prime Minister Imran Khan has created an overseas portal for the overseas Pakistani. Number one, now the Punjab government has taken this initiative as well. The third thing is that there are some speedy remedies. For example, Illegal Dispossession Act of 2005 is here. That if illegally dispossess someone, even he is not in Pakistan, that's a speedy remedy through police, that police can restore the possession. And the other thing is that the Overseas Pakistani Foundation, right now they are working very good for the overseas Pakistanis. What I see that maximum Pakistani which I have come across, they are very satisfied that if they faced such kind of a fraud, the foundation helped them very speedily.
Right.
And what I'll say that there are some lacunas and flaws as well, because it's a human error is there, you know. That must be, I mean, covered up by the government.
Okay.
And if this is covered up, then it's a very good thing for the overseas Pakistani, because that are the main source for the foreign investment and remittance in Pakistan.
Yeah.
You know, right now, overall slump in the world due to this COVID-19.
Yeah.
And the overseas Pakistanis are always the main source
Okay.
for the financial support to the Pakistan.
Exactly.
Of course.
You know, sir, you very rightly mentioned, and you've actually spoken, you talked about, you know, the laws which were in place as well. But for an advocate, for a legal expert, it's always about finding the loopholes within the law.
Okay.
And you know, this is how you guys work as well, and I think that it's brilliant and smart. But which is why what I need to ask from you today is, what are the loopholes, you know, in terms of, for all of these cases we are talking about? We might not be the experts on that point, but we have seen people getting letter of authorities from abroad and, you know, doing whatever they want to do on their behalf. We know that the letter of authority can be forged over here in Pakistan very easily. I'm very sorry, but I'll have to say this as well. And, you know, stamp papers and all of these things can be done, you know, not just in a click, but in a flick. In fact, this is something I would like to say. And then there are people who are very influential as well. So what kind of laws do you think needs to be amended so that we can give them a more secure environment for investment? I'm talking about the overseas Pakistanis.
This is a very good question, a very important question. I'll say that here in Pakistan, this is not a trend, and that trend must be, I mean, expanded, and that must be adopted by the common people, which is in the West, especially in UK. You know, all the laws, we are basically following the English laws. In England and the other Western countries, when there is a question of investment, especially related to the real estate, normally the people, they follow the real estate solicitors and the lawyers.
Okay.
Here in Pakistan, which I think it's not a good thing, that the overseas Pakistani and other people, they normally rely upon the real estate agents, which are not registered. They claim to be real estate agents, but they are not registered people. And basically, they are the criminals. And they send the papers, and they say that just sign that paper and I will handle this, and you be, you should be relaxed that you must be rely upon us. You should have a confidence upon us. This is very wrong. Every paper must be attested. Every paper must be, verified by the lawyer.
Okay.
Okay. The first thing. The second thing is that this is the misuse of power of attorney. When the attorney is prepared, that must be prepared through a lawyer, and that must be prepared through the valid their contents, that this attorney is for this purpose.
Okay.
Okay. Normally, the people, they from here in Pakistan, the real estate agent says that send the attorney, general power of attorney, and this, and then this attorney is misused.
Okay.
That attorney must have the covering letter R, that must have the sale agreement or whatever. The purpose of that attorney must be attached with that power of attorney.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and then they must have the proper information through. Now it's available on the Google, that where the investment is going on.
Okay.
I mean, if they are interested to invest in such kind of a housing society or in a project, that project must be verified through the internet, that whether that project is registered,
And
that
legitimate.
must that have the NOCs, that have the all the complete legal formalities, then they should invest there. Otherwise, normally here the real estate agents, false, fake agents, they prepare very good brochures and very good presentations, and they say that, see, this is happening and this is going to be in future. And that is, it's a maximum time.
It's a dummy project.
Yeah, it's a dummy project. Yeah.
It's so unfortunate, absolutely. But one more thing, you know, I have seen this happen in real life as well. I want you, of course, being a legal expert, to answer this too. We happen to know a family, my dad's very close friend. So he came to Pakistan. The family used to live in America. And while he was here in Pakistan, unfortunately, due to a stroke or something, he passed away. And before the girls, he had 3 daughters and a wife, of course, before the girls could even reach Pakistan, imagine the other family members, Shahzad, they took the stamp and, you know, took his thumbprints and everything, and had the papers done about property and everything. Now imagine when the girls came back to Pakistan, how helpless they were because they didn't know what to do about it, how to go about it, or who to go to resolve all this matter. So in such a case, what should one do?
Yes. As I've told you before, that first of all, the Prime Minister portal, that is the first remedy.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that I have sent some advices through the member of my Bar Council Islamabad that there must be this separate court for the overseas Pakistanis.
Yeah.
There must be a proper complaint cell related to the judicial system, not to the ministry or to any of the other office.
Okay.
That they can go over there. They should be, and there must be lawyers available over there. Those who are being paid by the overseas foundation, and they should give them, which is called legal support.
Yeah.
And the third thing is that if there is such sort of such happening here in Pakistan, the criminal procedure should be very fast.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
Agreed.
the civil procedure is everywhere in the world is a little bit slow.
Okay.
But so for the criminal procedure, if there is a complaint that we are the overseas Pakistani, we reached in Pakistan and this has been happened with us, immediately there must be a lab which should verify the signature or the thumb impression, that whether these thumb impression or the signature is signed by that deceased.
Okay.
And if the signature or the documents is forged, then that should be immediate result.
But I mean, there is a legit thumbprint on the paper. Of course, I mean, of the dead body, you can just take the stamp there and get it done.
No.
Then it's so helpless for someone to, take charge of the situation as well.
I will tell you.
Okay.
See, the thumb impression of a live person and thumb impression of a dead person, there's a difference.
Okay. Okay.
And the second thing is that there is a circumstantial evidence. For example, a person who reached in Pakistan and he is in a hospital, and they say, for example, I tell you an example, that there was a person who was admitted in a hospital in ICU for 7 days, and before his death, 3 days before, there's a document prepared, and they said that this thumb impression by the deceased, and the report of ICU and hospital is there that he was in ICU. How he can, and he was not in a condition to give any statement, and how this thumb impression signature was signed by that deceased. So this is called circumstantial evidence.
Okay.
And these circumstantial evidence, and if there is a will, if there is there are the supporting circumstances, this will prove. And that should be proved in a court like a model court, in a speedy remedy. That should not be that if they file a suit and they get a date of 2 months.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
The overseas Pakistani, or especially their children, they don't have enough time here in Pakistan to follow the legal proceedings.
Yeah, true.
So if there is any special court for the overseas Pakistanis, that can help a lot. And this is under process legislation in Pakistan.
Yes. And exactly, I think that's the way forward as well, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever a government takes over, I think legislation is their topmost priority as well. But not just that, we're very unfortunate in terms of that people over here can actually forge the circumstantial evidence as well. And it usually happens, it's, I think that, pretty much, I know a lot of people who actually, their age might be 37 or 38, but on their ID card it says 33 or 34. So it's very common. I think that it will take us a little time. Yes, Pakistan is a younger country, irrespective of the fact that that the elsewhere or the other nations as well. But yes, I think that we are going in the right direction as well. But thank you very much, sir, for being with us, Shahzad sir.
Thank you.
And it was a good conversation. You've given us a few remedies for all of those people who are out there. There's only one thing which I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, and this is something which I've learned myself by experiencing, and that is that if you want to earn money and you have extra cash with you which you are going to use as the capital amount, please make sure that you invest it yourself. Do not rely it on anybody. If you think that somebody is going to earn money and then give it back to you, this was something which used to happen back in 1960s and 70s, and people were not really very hungry of money. But in today's time, you can never trust anyone with money.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, right now we're heading to a very short break, but when we come back, we have actually something to talk about that I feel most of the people have been neglecting.
Exactly.
Especially in times of COVID-19 too. Stay tuned to find out what it is. Good morning.
Mosque, or the Royal Mosque in Lahore, commissioned by the 6th Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb in 1671 and completed in 1673, is the second largest mosque in Pakistan and South Asia and the 5th largest mosque in the world. Epitomizing the beauty, passion and grandeur of the Mughal era. It is Lahore's most famous landmark and a major tourist attraction. Capable of accommodating 5,000 worshippers in its main prayer hall and a further 95,000 in its courtyard, it remains the largest mosque in the world. From 1673 to 1986, a period of 313 years, when overtaken in size by the completion of the Faisal Mosque in Islamabad. Today, it remains the second largest mosque in Pakistan and South Asia and the 5th largest mosque in the world after Masjid al-Haram, Grand Mosque of Mecca, and Al-Masjid al-Nabwi, Prophet's Mosque in Medina. The Hassan II Mosque in Casablanca and the Faisal Mosque in Islamabad. To appreciate its large size, the 4 minarets of the Badshah Mosque are 13.9 feet, 4.2 meters taller than those of the Taj Mahal, and the main platform of the Taj Mahal can fit inside the 278,784 square feet courtyard of the Badshah Mosque, which is the largest mosque courtyard in the world. Architectural
Welcome back to Well This Morning with Shahzad Khan and Shahzad Hashmi. Jummah Mubarak to everyone watching. Do not forget to remember me, my entire team, and of course Shahzad in your prayers as well. So, you know, Shahzad, how I always mention PTV is where we educate you, where we try to be inclusive as well, but that is our responsibility and we love to do that. But unfortunately, I feel like, especially in the Corona times, Shahzad, you and I, along with everyone else, unfortunately, unintentionally, we were sort of negligent of a certain particular community that live among us as well. So there was this one very brave person, she's called Amna. She wrote out to me on Facebook, reached out to me and said that we talk about inclusivity all time in the year, you know, but how do we know that, I mean, how are people who are living with any sorts of special needs or any sorts of, you know, special abilities or different abilities, how are they leading their lives in Corona? We never thought of that. I mean, we were always talking about either infants or either, you know, people of the older age or people who contracted Corona.
Or even transgenders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, this was a community we really needed to talk about and how we should actually sort of mend our attitudes toward them as well. Exactly. So we decided this is what we will be talking about today.
Yeah, and Amna, thank you very much for, you know, raising awareness and you know, kind of making us aware of this fact as well, which we were ignorant of. We were very apologetic, and today we are at it and we're going to do it. And today we have a very apt guest, ladies and gentlemen. He's been a regular on our show. You know, I kind of take inspiration from him, and it's because of the fact that, ladies and gentlemen, every day when you wake up, and if you are living with a disability, I think that there are a lot of different thoughts which might come across your head, and then putting them aside and making sure that you're going to have a positive attire for the rest of your life, I think is something which you drive inspiration from. Other than that, over in Pakistan, not just in Corona, I think that life is difficult because the infrastructure is not planned accordingly.
Of course.
You know, you go to a building, you know, there are no ramps. You go to a building, there are no lifts as well. So people who are living with disabilities, I think, really need to be supported with the kind of positive attitude they have. So
Absolutely.
Today, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the chairperson of the Potohar Mental Association as well, Mr. Zulkarnain Asghar is with us. Hello, Assalamu alaikum Zulkarnain bhai, how are you?
Welcome back to our show.
Thank you for very much having me in the show, and good to see you very healthy and energetic.
Thank you very much for being with us. Lovely to have you. So, you know, today we're very sorry, first of all, that we were not able to highlight this. But now when we are aware of the fact that we really need to talk about it, please let us know what are the difficulties you're experiencing because other than, while when there was no corona, I know that, life was difficult even then. But what are the most common challenges which you're facing these days as well, since it's COVID-19 and it's a pandemic and it has actually had an impact on the entire globe?
Yeah.
Uh, Thank you, Shahzad. Because there are, first of all, data is lacking. Very important question, because uh, across the world, you have data of gender segregated data, you have data of different religious people with different religious identities, but people living with disabilities, about data about people living with disabilities is lacking. First thing,
Okay.
first major challenge is. Second is, you know, if we talk, because disability is diverse field, and the disability is diverse area, and every disability have different challenges.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we talk about people living with visual impairment, they have different kind of challenges. If we talk about people living with physical impairment, they have different challenges. And if we talk about people living with hearing impairment, they have different challenges.
Of
First,
course.
I'll start with people living with physical impairment, because they need assistive device, and for them it's difficult because usually our infrastructure is not accessible. That's why they have a lot of challenges, and they can remain confined in the four wall of their homes. And for them, it's important to disinfect their equipment. Second,
Okay.
if we talk about people living with visual impairment, they need assistance of other, because infrastructure is not accessible. And yet, on the other side, all these websites, specifically, when we are buying things online, these sites are not accessible as well. So therefore, it double the challenges.
All right, Mr.
Initially,
Zulkarnain, you know what? I'm so sorry to bring this up, but you've been on the show before and you have claimed several times, and we agree with you, that persons living with disabilities, any kind of disability, are already in isolation with the entire society. They're not as accepted as other people. So, this kind of isolation, where the entire world is locked up, I mean, and quarantined as well, has this hit you different? And you being a psychiatrist as well, I mean, does this have like a special impact on your mental health, or generally speaking on people living with disabilities, their mental health?
yes, I must say that this is very pertinent question. It hits, it hits, because if I talk about myself, I've limited my own mobility. Though I used to, during these 4 5 months, I did lot of things online. I had Zoom meeting, I had Google Meet, and I have MS Meet and the Skype calls and different kind of things. I've restricted my own mobility, and
Okay.
we have contacted so many people. I know more than 50 people living with disabilities. They contracted corona in Pakistan. And uh, they when they talked to me, I said, why don't you go to the doctor? They said, or parents or other family members said, that it's better to use home based remedies. And that's the
Okay.
challenge. Second thing is, if one individual need assistance, because infrastructure is not very much supportive, and during apart from the inaccessibility, there is a pandemic, and people, everyone is thinking about to restrain the mobility. They are trying to maintain the social distance, and then it double the challenge of people living with disability. It and even their insecurities, their different kind of challenges has increased. Especially if we talk about their financial challenges has increased, because they feel how they'll meet their daily lives, where
Exactly.
where there in different initiatives were being taken. That's really good.
Okay.
in media we are seeing those initiatives are inclusive, that is appreciable. But
Sir,
when
this is something which I need to
effective,
talk about. Zulkarnain sir, this is
uh,
something which we wanted to talk about as well, because we for sure know that, for all of those people who are actually living with disabilities, not all of them are actually working. A few of them obviously rely on their resources which actually come from their household as well. Not just that, obviously there are siblings who are going to help them and whatnot. But can you please be very particular about what kind of initiatives are taken so that we make sure that there are people who are out there and who are looking after all of those people who are living with disabilities? Can you please speak about those initiatives?
why not? Sure. Thank you.
No
You
problem.
made much easier for me to talk about those initiatives because
Sure.
in SAS program usually it says that it will cater the needs of people living with disabilities. That's really
Okay.
good. I must appreciate that they are at least they are claiming. But when it comes to when it translate in publics, so usually they have cash disbursement center, though those places are inaccessible.
Okay.
Second, most of the time, their staff says people living with disability have to wait. We have heard more than 100 people says categorically that they listen this thing. When they went there with assistance of someone escort them, and they said them, okay, no, you have to wait. Nothing has been decided about people living with disabilities.
Oh.
Oh, all right.
That's the irony. Second, I must say because the main thing which needs to be addressed, I personally believe, that is quota system, because that's very unfortunate fact. During this pandemic, government of Pakistan has issued the ordinance through which quota in private company has been abolished
All right.
through ordinance. And that's now that those companies are not liable to ensure the quota. If they have
Okay.
people on the basis of quota, they can expel them. No one can make them accountable.
Yes.
The bad part of the you know this pandemic, because usually we believe the state is there to facilitate its people, and if they cut down the given opportunities or given incentives, those were people living with disabilities have struggled a lot, and they have achieved those incentive. Even if they have cut down those incentives, that's very sad part of the story, and that shouldn't be there.
Absolutely, absolutely agreed. But Mr. Zulkarnain, one thing, we know for sure that you are, mashallah, now fully acquainted with all sorts of technologies, of course, different gadgets that you use. That is brilliant, but unfortunately, there are still a lot of people, persons with disabilities, who are not that acquainted to
Exactly.
using those gadgets or technology. So right now, as you already mentioned, everything is on Zoom, they're having a really hard time. So towards the end, is there a message you want to give out to all those people living with any kind of disability who are watching you right now, inspire them and let them know that this is, well, not the end of time?
And we want to tell you as well that, we even take inspiration from you.
Of course,
For the
always.
kind of person you are and the kind of initiatives you take for all of those people who are in similar conditions just like you, I think that you've inspired a lot of people, not just in Pakistan and elsewhere as well. And not just that, you don't even sit back home, you work as well. You've got a mental association where you're helping people with mental challenges. You are great, Zulkarnain Bhai.
Mashallah.
Thank you. Uh, we did a campaign about people living with disability on TV and radio
Okay.
during the pandemic. I have one message: we are equal human beings. Nothing about us without us. If
Wow.
Wow.
you people and you take making the right real, it's very important to exercise your right.
Of course.
Go out, initiate, take initiative. That is needed, because if you don't take initiative, no one will realize your need. It's important to exercise your rights.
Exactly.
so
Thank
much
you
for
very much,
saying that.
Zulkarnain Bhai, for being with us. Nothing for us without us. I think that's the slogan which everybody needs to hawk for as well. But for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, this was Zulkarnain Asghar Saab. He happens to be a person who's actually living with disability, but not just that. He's not taken it very seriously as well, and he's making sure that nobody else alongside him takes it very seriously whenever it's pandemic time, or God forbid, whenever it's testing times as well. In fact, what they have done is that they have come out stronger, they have popped out stronger, and they have taken initiatives where they're going to help people who are in similar conditions. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's absolutely inspiring and so brilliant as well. But ladies and gentlemen, towards the end of the show, I really hope you do not forget to pray for the entire Muslim Ummah, Pakistan as well, Shazad, me, my entire team too. It's Friday, do not forget to recite a lot of the Durood Sharif and earn yourself some good points too. If there's anything you need to write to us, write on a Facebook page with the name of...
World This Morning, down below, over here, yeah, somewhere here. Yeah,
yes,
there.
on Twitter.
On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a Z.
YouTube.
YouTube, first of all, you'll have to log on to PT World, then World This Morning.
And the repeat of this show you can catch at...
The repeat will be at 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Stay safe.